Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a 10-game Major League Baseball slate. This slate is pretty good. It is a lot of games. There are some weather issues, and we really won't know about the weather till much later in the slate, but a lot of the East Coast games have rain in the forecast, so do keep that in mind. Before I get started, though, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really does help the channel a lot. Really do appreciate it. Let's get into our core plays here. We have Manny Machado, Corey Seager, and Brandon Belt as our core plays. I'll get into those as I go through. But here's our pitchers for today. My top overall option is Logan Webb for San Francisco against Arizona. An alternative to him is Logan Gilbert for Seattle. And then a Hail Mary option for the P1 is Cody Singa, as he's been very inconsistent this year. But he does have upside. For our P2 options, Musgrove looks like the best option, though he's high risk, high reward. And then we have two alternatives, and Bassett and Goelito, who Bassett's in a good matchup, and Goelito's in a tough one, but they both draw some good upside here with good floors. The Hail Mary options, Beaver, Bello, Walker, and Sandoval all draw some utility here, but they're extremely high risk and high reward in these situations. So let's move into our catchers here. We're going to start with Will Smith for the Dodgers. He draws really good metrics for this one. He has home run upside in most games when he plays. He should draw a start today, so I like his upside and potential here. He did take the last game off, so he should be good to go here. So he looks like a great option today. Obviously fairly expensive. Danny Jansen is a lot cheaper. He is a kind of a boom or bust home run play, as he doesn't get a lot of hits, but he does get home runs, and he is at home, which gives him a nice advantage from the fantasy point perspective. He's hit the ball a lot better at home than on the road, and he has nice home run potential here. Diaz for Houston is also in play for. He's hitting the ball pretty well this season so far. He hasn't played a ton of games, but if he draws a start today, he'll definitely be in consideration, and he's got some nice home run potential as well. He also faces a pretty good matchup from the pitching perspective, so I like his upside. Gary Sanchez is then in play for San Diego. It's kind of a contrarian option. He's been robust home run call, but he definitely has some potential here. Moving to the first base, we're going to look at Ohtani first, as he draws a great matchup here against the Colorado Rockies, and being in Colorado is definitely a benefit for him. He has some run potential here. He's also just smashing the ball extremely well this season. Vlad Jr. is also in play as a contrarian option off of Ohtani. He's also a lot cheaper, though he's been pretty inconsistent lately. He does have home run potential. Drury for the Angels is also in play as a contrarian option off of Ohtani as well, as he's pretty expensive, but he does draw some utility here, and he's hitting the ball decently well lately, which I really like. Brandon Belt can also be in play at first base, but he's also in outfield. He is a core play for me today, as he draws really good metrics here, and he's just dirt cheap. And while he doesn't hit a ton of home runs, he has some really good opportunity here to have a good game. And he doesn't start and play every game, but if he is in the lineup, he's somebody I would definitely consider. Nate Lowe is also in play for Texas. He has some really good metrics for this game. He has nice home run upside, and I like his potential here. And he's fairly priced. Lamont Wade Jr., if he does draw the start, which I don't know if he will or not, but he may or may not today. But if he does draw the start today, then he'd definitely be in play, but you do need to make sure he plays and is fully healthy. And then Nelson Cruz is kind of a Hail Mary play today, as he's a boom or bust home run call on this particular slate. Moving to second base, we can start with Brandon Drury here. He can actually play first or second base, and he's probably a better fit as second base where there's less options, but he is pretty expensive, so he's a little bit hard to roster. Altuve is also in play at this position, a little bit cheaper than Drury by $100. He has home run potential, and he's hitting the ball a little bit inconsistent to start this season. He hasn't played a ton of games, but he does have some potential here. And then Estrada for the Giants. If you go with the Giants stack, I think he'd probably be the top option on the team. Though he is fairly expensive, he has some nice upside on this matchup. And some value plays here. We have Kim for San Diego, who draws a really good matchup against Corbin. He's also hitting the ball pretty well lately, which I like. And he draws some nice upside, and he's pretty cheap as well. And then Rengifo for the Angels. He is a Hail Mary call. He's a boomer bust play, but he is in play on this particular slate. Manny Machado for third base is a core play, I think. He has hit the ball pretty well lately. He's had some really monster games in the last 10. I like his upside, and he has some good potential here. Then we'll look at Matt Chapman as a contrarian option. He draws some really good metrics for this game, though he hasn't been quite as good lately, though he did manage to have a great game in his last one, so I like his upside. He has home run potential as well. And then Justin Turner is a good contrarian value play at this position, though he does have a tougher matchup, and the Red Sox have been somewhat inconsistent lately. He draws some nice metrics for this matchup. And then J.D. Davis, if you go with a San Francisco stack, he's going to be in play today as a kind of a contrarian play at this position, though he is somewhat risky as he has not scored a ton of fantasy points lately. Moving into shortstops, we're going to look at Corey Seager, who's probably one of the hottest batters in baseball recently. He's had some monster games after monster games. I like his potential here, and he's even doing it without getting a ton of home runs, which is even more impressive. He had 5 RBIs in 2 games ago against the White Sox where he didn't have a home run. So I like what he's doing, and he has some really good potential here. There's not a ton else at this position, but Bo Bichette, if he draws a start today, which he may or may not, we'll have to wait and see. He might be in play today if he does draw a start, as he's hit the ball really well. And a good value play here is Tovar for Colorado, who has good potential at home. He's high risk, high reward, but he is better at home than on the road, and he draws some good potential in this matchup. Moving into outfielders, we're going to start with Ohtani and Trout and Tatis Jr. All 3 of these guys have absolutely metric upside, as these guys are top tier plays, obviously super expensive as well, but they have great matchups and great metrics, all of them. Some value plays here, Taylor Ward for the Angels. He draws some good metrics here. He hasn't been consistent so far, but he does draw some utility here, and he has home run potential as well, which is really nice here. Hunter Renfroe also has big time home run potential, though he's a little bit more of a boomer bust play, and he's a little bit expensive for what he's likely to do here, but if he can hit a home run, he'll be in play. Brandon Belt obviously can play outfield, and I think he's better fit here with there's so many good options in the first base side of things. Dalton Varsho feels like a home run play today, though he's home run or bust most days as he hasn't hit the ball particularly well. He's been hitting the ball better recently, which gives him some upside. Brandon Nimmo is not a home run player typically, but he has hit the ball really well lately, and he's hitting some home runs too, which is nice. And he draws a fantastic matchup here. Castellanos for Philly is also in play here, though he has hit the ball well. His home runs have not been quite as good as I expected him to be this season, but he's hitting the ball solidly, and I like his upside here, though he hasn't been very good against the Mets this season, but in 3 games, but he definitely draws a great matchup here. Grichuk for Colorado. If you go with the Colorado stack, he's definitely somebody that would fit with Tovar, as they both have some really good metrics here. Now, he's not a home run guy, but he hits the ball decently well at home, and he has better fantasy points at home than on the road, despite the fact that he hasn't hit a home run at the home yet this season. Then we'll look at Marte for the Mets, who draws nice metrics here. Not a home run guy again, obviously, but he does hit the ball pretty well lately, and I like his potential here as a cheap play, though he's a little bit risky. Jock Peterson is a good play today. He has some nice home run upside if you go with San Francisco stack, but he is going to be somewhat hard to roster. And then Eloy Jimenez finally for the White Sox. He draws some nice metrics here as he's hit the ball pretty well lately. I like his upside and potential. He has home run upside, but he is on a team that's not expected to score too many runs. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.